And I'm getting word that our runners are ready for Final Fantasy any percent. We're gonna pass it over to them.
Thank you.
Hello. I think we're live.
I think so.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. I'm Octini.
And I'm the younger but better brother, Talbrik.
Debatable. We are brothers. English is hard. We are brothers, though. That is true. And we're going to play Final Fantasy, and we're going to play real fast now. Age Before Beauty, you want to count it down?
Sure. There are some... there's a glitch that'll get us through the game that we'll explain after a little bit. Right off the bat, we've got some menuing that's going to happen, so we might be quiet for just a second.
Yeah.
But if everybody is ready, we will get started in 3, 2, 1.
That was a terrible countdown.
Are you telling me that was a terrible countdown?
Yes.
What'd I do wrong?
Oh, it has been a while since I ran this game at 2 a.m.
All right, so right off the bat, both of us ran into Cornelia, the first city, and we both bought some sort of glove. Oh, hammer. That's right. We both bought a hammer. We don't actually equip that hammer, but we do use it to create out of thin air some knight's armor. And that's kind of what this entire run is built around, is buying or getting one item and using it to get something else. So if you get a weapon, you can glitch in some kind of armor, and if you get some kind of armor, you can glitch in a weapon.
Yep. It's a glitch that's unique to the PSP version of the game, which is what makes it so fast. Because we get really late game stuff really early on. And from there, just sort of trounce everyone and everything.
The way the glitch works, and I don't know if it's... I think it is exactly frame perfect, but this game doesn't exactly run at the fastest frames in the world. If you're in an equipment menu, you can use the shoulder buttons to sort of change between characters. And so if you try to, change the weapon of the warrior at the same time that you hit a shoulder button to another character, the game gets confused. And it will pull up the warrior's weapon equipment for a separate character. But if that other character... Why does my stream keep unmuting? Stop that. If that other character, you are trying to access armor, the game says, well, I'm trying to access an equipment menu on an armor screen. I guess I'll populate armors. And it does something weird with item IDs, and you get access to equipment that you don't actually have.
You can also equip that equipment on slots that you shouldn't be allowed to. So you can put a helmet on your glove slot, and so on and so forth. So that you have slots for weapons, helmet, armor, gloves,
Shield.
Shield, thank you. I was going to say there's another one. And so what we'll end up doing is putting a weapon on the weapon slot, but then putting the same item on all of the defensive slots, the helmet, armor, gloves, and shield, which we're not really supposed to be able to do, but it's just going to make us very, very strong. So the vast majority of enemy attacks will never do more than 1 HP for us.
Yeah. And so, like, the knight's armor that we glitched in right off the bat, you normally wouldn't get casually until probably after an hour or so of playtime, maybe even more than that.
Yeah.
So it's a very strong armor to have this early. Additionally, we're going to be able to sell knight's armor to basically fund all of our shopping for the entire game.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to be real rich.
And then the second menu we did glitched in a judgment staff, which Final Fantasy has items that cast spells. So in combat, we're able to use the judgment staff to cast Flare, which is an end-game spell. So we use that... 2 combats in a row. We use that to get through some of our early encounters before we have access to faster things.
Yeah. And before too long, we will end up with the... bad movement. We'll end up with the Barbarian Sword, which is the strongest weapon in the game. We get that relatively early on. And keep it for the entirety of the run. And it's not just a late... Hang on. I shouldn't start talking right in the middle of a menu. It's not just a late game item, it is a post-game item.
Yes. Yeah, the PSP version of this game added some post-game content, some dungeons and whatnot, that didn't exist in earlier versions.
So we'll be using post-game weapons for more than half of the actual game. Which
for
is just
all of the main bosses.
Plot-wise, I guess we should talk about that a little bit.
I guess.
There isn't much of one. It doesn't matter. We are the Warriors of Light. That's it. That's all the character development you're gonna get. We're here to save the world. And I just beat up some pirates so bad that the pirate leader was just like, "Here, take my ship." I'm sorry that I was causing problems. Have a boat. And now we're gonna use the boat. And if I could run away from these sharks, that'd be great.
Yeah, which I guess we should explain. We basically run from everything.
Yeah.
We're pretty much underleveled for the entire run, and are only surviving because we've glitched in very strong armor.
Yeah.
So it is fastest to run from everything we can run from. There are a few encounters in the game that are tagged as unrunnable, but that's going to be the equipment we get is centered around what's going to let us live and what's going to let us run.
Yep. Yeah. So
really
we're looking for armor that is both high in defense, but also high in speed, because that's what lets you run away from stuff. That also informs our party decisions to an extent. The party is set. We use these 4 party members in this specific order for a number of different reasons. But one of those reasons includes the thief is really good at running away from stuff. So that helps. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's dependent. The item glitch depends on your character's being in a specific order, just due to the way a character has to be able to equip something to do the right sort of glitch. And so we'll do a formation swap later to facilitate some more glitching. But yeah, the party is extremely important. If you're not familiar with Final Fantasy 1, there are actually 6?
I think 6.
Different classes or characters that you can play as.
There's these four plus a red mage plus a monk.
Yes. And so different versions of Final Fantasy use different parties. I know, like, the Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster, I think has started using, like, warrior, black mage, something like that.
There's also in the PSP version has other categories. You can do a solo run, and I think the solo route is still red mage.
I would believe that.
Just got my crown, by the way.
I am almost there. Yeah, so the fight that Octini just did against Pisco Demons, Pisco Demons throughout the run are an unrunnable encounter. We have to fight them. And in this specific spot, every time you step on the tile in front of the chest, you fight Pisco Demons. No matter what. If I step off this tile and step back on it, I will fight more Pisco Demons. And we're going to abuse that mechanic for an encounter later in the game to get all of the levels we need.
Yep, because Talbrik mentioned that we're under-leveled for the most part. There is... So right here, early on, the Pisco Demons that we fought, we want to get at least 3 of them. If we don't get at least 3, then we have to kind of... Excuse me. Do a couple of backup strats to make sure that we get enough experience, because we have to have our mages, specifically our black mage, reach level 8 by the time we get to the next town and do some shopping. Because you're not allowed to buy spells unless you're a high level to equip those spells. So we need to be level 8 so we can equip some spells here in a little while. Later, we're going to do some level farming on a spike encounter to get all the way up to level 18 for the next set of spells. And that takes a few minutes, actually.
Yeah. If we haven't said it yet, encounters in this game are just completely random. Some Final Fantasy games have a step count. This one, you just have a hope and pray that you don't get another encounter count.
Yeah, it's extremely RNG heavy. Don't you do it. Yes! Oh, got the clutch miss.
Did he cast Death on your black
Yeah,
mage?
he did.
Oh no.
So Astos, the mini boss, regular boss, I don't know what he counts as, that I'm fighting right now, will get an attack in, but sometimes that attack is a physical attack. Sometimes he casts Death. That's fine if he casts Death, so long as he doesn't cast it on the black mage, because I mentioned the black mage has to be level 8, right? Well, if he dies, he's not going to get to level 8. So if he dies, I would have had to do some just encounter farming right as I leave here. But fortunately, Death missed, so we're good. Sometimes he'll kill the warrior, which I'm perfectly okay with. The warrior really only exists in this game to be the punching bag, which we mentioned the party alignment is deliberate. We put the warrior in the first position because the first position character is the most likely to be attacked by enemies. So he is our tank, and he's gonna spend a little bit of time dead. Actually, he used to spend a lot more time dead. It used to be almost half the run. We would leave the warrior just knocked out. Now it's only for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Oh. Took an extra step. Took another extra step. But yeah, the fact that this run doesn't have a step count, it's extremely RNG heavy. But if you don't mind that, if the RNG doesn't really bother you, it's an incredibly accessible Final Fantasy run. It's probably the most accessible Final Fantasy run, due in part to its length. It's the shortest. Is it the shortest main Final Fantasy game? I think it is.
I think it is the shortest. Yeah.
Come in about an hour and a half, and it's really straightforward. There's not a lot of strategy that you have to worry about. It's just, memorize your movement and your menus, and other than that, it's really not too complicated. And there's a really good guide for it.
Pretty much every fight in this version is a guaranteed win, except for the final boss. So there are 4 main bosses that we fight. They're called fiends, and the first fiend can kill you, but other than that, it's really straightforward. And if you die, you just do it again. But the final boss is the only one that really requires some strategy. And it used to be not as bad as it is, but there was a reroute. I mean, at this point, more than a year ago. And the reroute made the final boss a lot more chaotic, pun intended. The final boss's name is Chaos, so. I thought his name was Jack.
I hate you so much. If anyone's not familiar, there was a recent Final Fantasy game released, Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origins. It is a prequel to Final Fantasy 1. And it tells the story of Jack Garland, the worst Final Fantasy protagonist name of all time. I haven't played the game. I think it's okay. I think as far as games go, it's fine. But you had to go and name my boy Jack.
Yeah, I haven't played it. I'm interested in playing it. But yeah, I guess major spoiler alerts for Final Fantasy 1. And I guess also Strangers of Paradise now. But
yeah.
At the very beginning, we fought this guy named Garland. He had taken the princess captive. And Garland comes back at the end because Garland is chaos. Which is just the fascinating thing to me about Strangers of Paradise, is that Jack Garland is the main character, and Jack Garland is the boss of the first ever Final Fantasy game. So, who knows? This run is not going great for me yet.
Mine's been pretty rough, too. I'm already about a minute behind my PB.
Oh, I'm not even comparing to PB.
Excuse me. But this whole game, you have cool names. Like, all the town names are very... It's all very high fantasy.
Yes.
All the names in this are very high fantasy. And then they come along and release a game where they name the main character Jack.
Mm-hmm.
Which is... so not Raven.
Yeah, my understanding is that this first Final Fantasy game was based pretty heavily on Dungeons and Dragons. There are a lot of references to Dungeons and Dragons, especially the early versions of D&D. Which, yeah, so super high fantasy, like the first place you're at is Cornelia. It's the, city of humans, and this other city we've visited a couple times now is Elfheim. It's a city of elves. Next, we're going to go to our city of dwarves. And then, yeah, we have recently discovered that Garland's first name is Jack.
Terrible. It's terrible. I tell you what, something about it being 2:30 in the morning, I can't menu. I don't know if you're struggling. I don't know if you're struggling with your menus too, but I'm really struggling with my menus.
My menus have been fine. I just haven't had good encounter luck at all.
Because, again, Talbrik mentioned early on that all of these, the menus that involve item duping require frame-perfect dual inputs on the controller. And it takes some getting used to, but usually you can get it pretty consistently. I am having a time with it tonight.
But so the menu that I assume Octini already did, and that I am doing, gets us Thief's Armlet. So now we can like really easily run from everything. Earlier, like Wolves and Sahagins were a little bit sus. But now with 3 Thief's Armlets on every character, it should be easy. We also picked up Sage's Staff, which right now is on my Thief and White Mage, but will eventually make its way to both of my mages. And that's going to make
Thief
their
is
spells
just holding it right now.
Yeah.
Keeping it ready.
Yeah, because our warrior, we have to get the Sage's Staff from our warrior, because it originates from, like, bronze gloves or something. And so, because our warrior and black mage aren't next to each other, we have to create the item before we can get it to our black mage.
Yeah. Yeah, Talbrik has a better understanding of the logistics behind, like, the mechanics of the item duplication tech than I do. But you are quite limited in the things that you can dupe and onto whom, which is why we don't just right at the very beginning of the game give ourselves all the best stuff. You can only give yourself, very limited number of things, because you have to work with the items that you have, and the items that you have, you can only dupe. What is it like? So every item has an item ID, and you can only dupe things that have that same item ID but in another category.
Yeah. And there are only 2 categories. There's weapons and armor.
Yeah. So you're not allowed to just give yourself whatever you want whenever you want.
Yeah. So like the hammer we buy at the beginning.
You can only dupe items to the left and to the right. You can't skip over party members, which is why we went from the warrior to the thief with the Sage's Staff, not from the warrior to the black mage, because the black mage is 2 party members away.
Yeah.
So he can't get it yet. I shouldn't gender the black mage. I have no idea what's under that hood. They can't get it right now, but we will give it to them later.
Yes.
Shavil, hi! It's going all right.
Hey, Shavil.
I think I'm winning currently, so it's going great.
You are winning currently, but that's always how it is.
That is always how it is. Talbrik and I raced this quite a bit. And we have done so several times for events. We also just do it sometimes for fun. I have never once beaten him in an event, which tracks. He is great at this run. I'm pretty good, but he's great. Hang on. Incoming menu. I love that menu. But yeah, it seems like what generally happens is I get out in front at the beginning, and then he just slowly catches up. Closes the gap.
Well, and you, knock on wood that this doesn't actually happen this time, I feel like every time you make some weird mistake in the final dungeon, and that's where I pass you.
Yep.
You have gone into the final dungeon ahead of me almost every time, I think.
I think that might be true, yeah. Yeah, I've actually got a pretty cool clip from a previous race. I think you made the clip, actually, where we are synchronized probably 5 minutes from the end of the game. And then I get an encounter, and Talbrik doesn't. and I never catch up after that.
Yeah.
Like, that ended up being the difference in the race.
Again, the encounter RNG in this game is just kind of ridiculous. It evens out pretty often to where you get between 160 and 180 encounters throughout the course of the game.
So many.
Yeah. I used to count them every run. I had a counter on my life split, and then I stopped hating myself. But yeah, it's an absurd amount. I need to be quiet for a second.
Barbarian sword?
Yeah.
Cool.
Best menu in the game.
Oh, I love it. I love it so much. It's such a satisfying menu to do.
I guess
it requires no cursor movement from us, so that just makes it really nice.
There's a little bit, not a lot. But yeah, when you get into it, everything is just set up. I guess I should explain. You'll notice, especially in these overworld sections that we're going to be doing, we do some weird
we don't always
movement.
take the most direct path.
The sort of like speckly blue areas of the overworld are marshland. That has the least encounter rate of overworld movement, and forests have the most. So every once in a while we'll do some weird movement, or like we dock our ship in an odd place, basically always. Because the dock tiles on the overworld you cannot get encounters on. So it's usually worth a slightly inconvenient dock to guarantee no encounters. I'm going to save on this floor because it's been rude to me the past couple times.
Hey, at least you didn't get poisoned before you even got to Garland.
Oh,
no.
Yeah. So yesterday I was doing a practice run, warm-up run. And before the first boss, all we do is
walk
buy a hammer
to the boss.
and then walk to the boss. Yeah. Before the first boss, my warrior and thief both got poisoned. I have no potions, no antidotes. So they died, and I said, you know what? It's probably fastest to just reset. Like, period. If it had happened today, I probably would have reset.
Yeah, both of us tried to do warm-up runs earlier. That happened to you, and then I was 2 minutes behind, 10 minutes into the game, and rage quit.
Yeah.
But that's okay, because they say something about bad dress rehearsals mean good performances, right? Something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Real quick, is now a good time to cut in?
Of course.
Yeah, whenever you want.
Great. Everybody, I would just like to remind you, we have an anti-chamber bonus any % run later on today, or later on in the marathon. That would be happening right after Osborne runs the anti-chamber 100% run. That 100% run, I've been told, is about 30 minutes long. The any % run, I've been told, is about 5 minutes long, which is very different, and I would like to see that, Matt. I know it seems like we have a lot of time, but we only have about 4 hours. If you want to see it, go ahead, start donating.
And it's the 4 hours that are like middle of the night for, I'm gonna guess, probably the majority of the viewing audience, not everybody. Shout out to my European homies.
Shout out to
so
Shavil.
Shout out Shavil. Those hours go by pretty quickly.
Exactly. And I know 4 hours seems like, that's forever. We have plenty of time. It will go by so quick, especially with all the amazing runs we have tonight. So type ! donate in the chat and start donating, please. Love to see that get met.
Yeah, the amazing runs start after this one.
No,
including my second run, which is coming up in about 5 hours.
Yeah.
I'm not getting any sleep tonight. That's okay, I have 2 kids, I'm used to it.
But Critique, feel free to interrupt us whenever you need or want to, because we will
nothing
just talk.
happens in this game. Nothing happens in this game that is so important it can't be interrupted. Again, there is no plot.
I mean, there is a plot. It's just paper thin and bad.
I appreciate that. Thank you for letting me know.
Yeah, I mean, famously, I imagine a lot of people know this story because we're all game fans here. The series is called Final Fantasy, right? Because the game creator, this was going to be his, this was his Hail Mary game attempt at not being broke. And famously, it was a success and has spawned endless spin-offs and sequels and blah, 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 blah. It's a great story. I have no idea how this game was successful. It makes no sense. By all accounts, it's not a good game.
I mean,
I say that. I imagine that the original Final Fantasy is good in the way that the Beatles are good. And this might be a hot take. The Beatles aren't that great, y'all. Except that they are, right? Like,
how can you say something so brave?
Now, if you listen to the Beatles now, it's like they're fairly stereotypical rock music, right? But the reason they sound like stereotypical rock music is because they invented all of the things that we are now used to hearing. I think Final Fantasy sort of did the same thing. I think Final Fantasy invented many of the JRPG tropes that we are now so used to.
It was definitely one of the first of its kind. And you can tell that, like, if you play Final Fantasy II, there are so many actually, like, different mechanics for the same sort of game. You can tell they were still just trying to figure out, okay, how does this genre work? What's the right thing to do? So, like, in Final Fantasy II, they said, forget levels. We're just gonna level independent item equipments and things. And then they realized that was a terrible idea.
Real quick, if you have strong opinions about what was just said, donate, and I'll leave them on stream.
Yeah, I am willing to fight you over the Beatles, provided you pay me for it. Well, not pay me, pay Lead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give Lead money, and I will have a verbal altercation.
Oh no, undead ambush. This isn't good. So, undead enemies in this game can paralyze you, as you see has happened to everyone but the Black Mage. And to everyone. So I'm stuck here for a little bit. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this can happen. There are a few different ways that this can happen. We call this getting stun locked. It's not the end of the world because paralysis does wear off. Unlike, there is a stone condition that different enemies can afflict you with. I think that's the right wordage.
Yes.
And stone is permanent. So if your entire party gets stoned, blaze it. Then I think I took a wrong turn somewhere. Okay, we're back on track. If your entire party gets stoned, it is a game over.
Yeah.
Which is why we buy.
This is bad.
We buy gold needles early in the run. You technically do not have to buy gold needles. And often, if you are going for a world record or something, you will skip them, because it does save time. And there's no guarantee that you will have stone cast on you at any point. But if you do, it's forever. You can't even bank on an enemy killing you and then, using a Phoenix down to come back without the stone, because if you're stoned, enemies will ignore you. Okay, I'm fighting Lich.
Hey, does anybody know how long I've been here? Did anybody look at the timer when this started?
And I just wiped Talich, so that's fun.
No idea.
Bratterfield talking about pixel remasters in the chat. I am also an FF2 pixel remaster runner, which, as Bratterfield has pointed out, had a guaranteed... I think I might wipe here, actually. I think I'm going to lose like 5 minutes or more.
Wow.
The last time I saved was before Vampire.
Oh, no.
Yep, I wiped. Incredible.
Oh.
Okay.
That sucks,
Wow.
dude. I'm sorry. I wiped
Wow.
Talich, but that's only like a minute.
Yeah, I just lost like 6 or 7 minutes. This is fantastic. Good thing we saved so much time in earlier runs.
Well, at least you saved.
Yep.
Talbrik did a safety save earlier in the Earth Cavern. I don't do that safety save. So if the situations were reversed, I would be starting over. I would have, that would have cost me 35 minutes.
Yeah. Anyways, since we're just seeing all of this stuff again, that never happens, by the way. So there's your marathon bingo card.
Yeah, that's never happened before.
But yeah, Final Fantasy II Pixel Remaster, on-hit effects were guaranteed. However, if you go back and play Final Fantasy II Pixel Remaster again, it's been patched. Which was a huge problem for the speedrun. Because the speedrun was built around grab the sleep sword, put boss to sleep, win game. And then they patched it about 4 days before the Final Fantasy relay that happens every year. And me and the other runners panicked.
Because there was going to be 15,000 people watching you play that game.
Yeah, so we found a way to down patch it because we weren't about to come up with a new route.
Yep. Yeah, this is the only Final Fantasy game that I run, but Talbrik does run this one and 2. And he's far too humble to say anything, but he's my little brother, so I'm allowed to brag on him if I want to. Talbrik, y'all, is like one of the best Final Fantasy speedrunners in the world. Most people, I think, usually associate Final Fantasy speedrunning with the later Final Fantasy entries, which are all really, really long speedruns. Like 7, 8, and 9 are all, 7, 8, and 9 hours respectively, and 10 is about 10 hours, but literally half of that is cutscenes. Anyway, so people don't usually think about the shorter speedruns, which are the early entries. But Talbrik is... Are you third place in both right now?
I'm third place in this one. Final Fantasy II, I'm 6th.
Okay.
I was 5th until very recently. There's a guy, I don't know their pronouns actually, so I shouldn't say that. But Shigeru, a Japanese runner.
Oh yeah, they just showed up and just demolished the world record out of nowhere.
Demolishing all of the pixel remasters. All of them. I think 1 through 4, they have the record in right now.
Oh no, what do I buy here? Hang on, I'm gonna take a second to make sure I just didn't buy the wrong thing. Gloves, axe, and sword. Cool, I did it right. Guessed correctly. Love it. Now everybody gets black garb. But yeah, Talbrik got the second 120 in Final Fantasy 1.
21.
Say what?
121.
121, sorry.
You're good. Okay. Oh, no, don't split there.
There is now a 119.
Yeah, the top 3 times are a 119, a 120, and then a 121. There was a pretty big route change a couple years ago now. That makes the run a little bit more volatile. Not much. But I mean, the world record before the route change has been beaten countless times now.
Well, we say countless times by 2 people.
Yes. Yeah, shout outs to Soma and Porsyth, who are
just
very
going
good
back
at
and
this
forth.
game. It's going to be a long time until anybody beats Porsyth's record.
Yeah, unless it's Porsyth.
Yeah. There's an item in this game called a...
emergency exit?
Yes, emergency exit. Thank you.
I always want to call it an escape rope because I
Same.
play too much
That's
Pokemon
almost what
growing
I
up.
said. Which works exactly like an escape rope. You use it in a dungeon, it takes you outside the dungeon. And there are 2 dungeons specifically that we would use that in. But it's notoriously difficult to get. You have to complete a 15-tile slide puzzle.
Which is hard enough by itself.
Yes. You have to do it in less than a minute, and ideally you do it in 30 seconds. Not faster than 30 seconds, mind you, because you have to get second place.
Yep. Yeah, if you win the 15 puzzle mini game, you don't get the item that you want. So you have to get second.
Yeah.
And then if you get second, you have a 1 in 6 chance of getting the item you want.
Yes. And so if you get the emergency exit, that's awesome. Well, Porsyth spent hours. And as I said, there are 2 dungeons that you would use emergency exit in. Porsyth got 2 emergency exits, which saves probably 5 minutes.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, fortunately, the mini game where you get them happens pretty early on. So if you decide that you want to grind for an emergency exit or even 2, you can reset pretty early. But still,
yeah,
that's a lot of time resetting.
Yeah, you can access the mini game as soon as you have the ship.
We're good.
Real quick, we have a $5 donation from Cheval Torture.
Hey,
It says, all right, disagree. Starting 1965, the Beatles, and especially McCartney, made more creative harmonies than most good pop music has since, and I'd call the Beatles more pop band than rock band. Incentive to runner's choice, if they can agree on literally anything someday.
We agree on a lot of stuff. Oh, shoot.
We agree on the important things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and Shavil, I think, and obviously Octini, correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, I think that's what Octini was saying. When the Beatles came around, they were sort of cutting edge.
Oh, yeah, like revolutionary.
New like, yeah, they were revolutionary to the genre of music that they were playing in. I don't want to get in trouble, so we're going to do this. But compared to today, / the influence they had, they're not great. I love the Beatles. I used to be obsessed with the Beatles.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Do you have such a big lead? Don't even worry about it.
Come on, come on. No, that's not. No! Bad Evil Eye. Oh, and okay, now you Thundara. Fine, be that way. Anyway, I have reached the part of the game where I am going to level grind. But the fight leading into the level grinding did not go very well. It's fine. It's fine. It's whatever. I'm gonna leave you stone for now.
And I've reached Lich.
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
A 43-minute Lich.
So you're gonna see me just walk to the left and then back to the right, and every time I step on the tile to the right, it's gonna trigger this exact same encounter. Now, my thief is dead. My warrior is stone, which means that my warrior also is not gaining any experience. And all we want right now is for the white mage and the black mage to get to level 18. So I'm going to do this fight like a dozen times in a row. And then I'm going to heal everybody up. In the old route, this is the part where it would start to deviate a little bit. The warrior and the thief would both be dead or turned to stone, whatever. But then after the level grind was over, we would only revive the thief. The warrior would stay dead and would remain that way for like another half an hour. Where are we at? 18! Oh, I'm gonna do one more because Black Mage is still 17.
Yeah, so in the level grind, you're okay getting your mages to only 17. Generally, if you get them to only 17, you do one extra fight.
Yeah, I want to be extremely safe.
Yeah, the safest is to get them to 18, because then they're guaranteed, after some boss fights, to be at level 19 when you buy spells. And they have to be level 19 to access the spells we need. I might be risky and only get to 17 so I can make up,
yeah,
30 seconds.
Yeah, don't worry too much. I'm playing roll bad, so you'll have plenty of opportunity to catch up.
I mean, I just got back on the ship after Lich, so...
Ouch.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
Can we at least all agree that the greatest fictional band of all time is the Wonders?
The Wonders?
Yeah, from That Thing You Do.
Are we just ignoring the Beats and Chip Skylark?
Chip Skylark is pretty good, but Chip Skylark is not a band. Chip Skylark is a recording artist.
Fair.
And the Wonders are better than the Beats. As much as I love the Beats. Chip Skylark is really good, though.
I was just talking about the Beats and Chip Skylark with my accompanist at school.
The Beats is one of my favorite episodes of Doug. Did you ever really watch Doug, or were you kind of too young for that?
I loved Doug.
Did you watch Doug? Okay, cool. One of my favorite episodes of Doug was when Doug and Skeeter win tickets to see the Beats in concert. Because they call into a radio show, and the last question they have to answer a bunch of questions like Beats trivia, and the last question is, I can't remember what the question was, but they didn't know the answer, and Skeeter says "Beats me," and that was the answer. But then they ended up not getting to go to the concert, and they were super bummed out about it. But then they meet the Beats outside of whatever the name of the restaurant was that they all hung out at all the time.
Hey, Gold Split.
Yo, nice.
That was a very good episode. I do remember that one.
Okay, so I just got an airship in true Final Fantasy style. We get an airship. And this is where the route really deviates from what it used to be. So much so that there's probably like at least a 50% chance I'm going to get lost at some point. It happens not infrequently to me.
This game is super accessible. Airship movement is the hardest part. And all of the airship movement changed with the new route.
My shiny teeth and me.
Shiny teeth, shiny teeth.
My shiny teeth that glisten just like the stars at night. I love that song.
It's really good.
Fun fact, Chip Skylark, or the singing voice at least, is Chris Kirkpatrick of NSYNC. Who I love.
Yeah.
Not as much as I love Lance. Lance is my favorite.
Lance is very good.
Lance almost got to go to space.
Really?
Yeah. He was going to get to be a cosmonaut. Not an astronaut.
Cosmonaut?
Yep, he wasn't going to do it through NASA. He was going to go up through Russia. He also dated Topanga for a long time.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Obviously, her real name is not Topanga, but I don't remember the actress's name.
Obviously, this is what everyone comes to a Final Fantasy 1 race for.
Well, yeah, duh. They're sure not here for the plot.
Should we do a plot check-in? Are we out of plot?
If you want to do a plot check-in, go for it. I don't know what's happening right now.
I guess we haven't done a single one, so there wouldn't be a lot to explain. We're the Warriors of Light. We're destined to save the world. The king wouldn't rebuild the bridge until we saved the princess, so we did that. He rebuilt the bridge. Then we went to Elfheim, where we saved the Prince of Elfheim from an uncurable sickness, thanks to a potion that we got from Matoya. Then we helped a dwarf blow a hole in the continent.
Get out of the way.
Just because? I don't know. So we could sail through it. Then
it's his life's greatest ambition to blow a hole in the world.
It's so good. Oh, I don't want to get stuck in an undead encounter again. What is this? We're just gonna kill this. Then we saved Melman from the vampire, or at least we thought we saved them. Then a sage told us, hey, the vampire wasn't the problem, go kill the lich, so we killed the lich. And then we sailed across the ocean to Crescent Lake, where a circle of sages are supposed to tell us how to save the world, and instead we just talk to the one that gives us a canoe.
Yep.
Yeah.
These wide sages standing around a lake, handing out canoes. There's no way to form governments.
What's especially strange is it is not the sage that you would think that you have to talk to. Am I doing something wrong?
I don't know.
Thundara just failed to kill all of the Sahagins.
Do you have Sage Staff equipped?
I think so. I've got a menu coming up in a little while. I will double check.
Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of sages that are all in red except for one in blue with a big hat. And you talk to him for plot. Yeah, you talk to him for plot, but we don't care about that. So instead we talk to the person next to him to get a canoe.
Yeah, I must not have Sage's Staff or something, because it didn't kill the ghosts either.
That's weird.
Yeah, I told you were going to be able to catch up.
If I can ever run from an encounter, holy crap.
Yeah.
Keep it up. I'm going to do an extra
Keep it up, game. You're doing great. And naturally, the one time that I apparently have screwed up my menus or something, so that I'm under damaging, I'm getting nothing but these unrunnables. So this is, I'm in the Sunken Shrine.
Water temple.
As any Zelda fan knows, water temples are the worst. This is where the Black Mage, usually, if you do your menus right, really starts to show their MVP status. Because as you have likely noticed, enemy encounters are sometimes very large. You can have up to 9 enemies in a single encounter, which would take a very long time to kill with physical attacks. But all the magic attacks in this game are AoE, and it attacks everyone, which is cool. Rosetta Stone? And so the Black Mage hard carries, basically from this point until the end. Anytime you have to kill a group of enemies, the Black Mage is the one going to be doing the heavy lifting. And I appear to have failed the Black Mage. I'm sorry. Unlike Michael Caine in The Dark Knight Rises, I have failed you. Or Obi-Wan Kenobi, one of the two. Doesn't Obi-Wan say that to Anakin? He's like, I have failed you. Yeah, I think that's cool.
Yeah. And if I remember right, I've only done one watch of this, but then in
the Obi-Wan show.
Yeah.
Anakin
says something along the lines of...
spoilers for Disney Plus's Obi-Wan Kenobi. In the last episode, they have that fight. Hang on. Where Darth Vader is like, I am not your failure.
Yeah.
You did not kill Anakin Skywalker. I did. Which is pretty cold, actually. I'm into it. It's good screenwriting.
Was that supposed to be your Anakin Walker voice?
No, it
sounded like a bad Bane.
It doesn't sound anything like him. That's like the cool thing that they did was they did like a weird like vocal mix of Hayden Christensen and
yeah, but that's not what that sounded like.
Well, I know it didn't. I apologize for not trying to do an impression of James Earl Jones, let alone an impression of James Earl Jones and Hayden Christensen at the same time. Can you forgive me?
Yeah, I guess. Did you ever read that? I can't remember who did the physical acting for Darth Vader now. I can't remember his name.
I think that's the problem.
yeah, right. But when tried to run from an unrunnable. When he found out that his voice wasn't going to make the final cut, he just started saying random crap in response to his co-actors.
That's kind of awesome, actually. Are you kidding me? Yeah, I must have done something wrong. I just fired a party of ghosts and none of them died.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Yeah, I'd say there's a chance. I'm getting a lot of them too, like a lot of unrunnables. Whoops, overshot that a little bit.
Yeah, Bradderfield, I think the issue was that they didn't tell him when they hired him that he wasn't actually voicing the character.
Yeah.
So, like, he was memorizing the lines because they wanted him to say the lines in the scene.
And there's footage out there. There's footage out there of him reading it, and I mean, look, it probably wasn't cool to do him like that, but they made the right decision.
I mean, compare anyone to James Earl Jones.
That's fair.
For just voice purposes, James Earl Jones wins.
This is true.
Real quick, I would just like to jump in and remind everybody that we are raising money for LEAD. LEAD is a substance use prevention organization that believes young people are capable of making good decisions. The core reason LEAD exists is to significantly reduce drinking, drug use, and other risky behaviors by youth, while working simultaneously to eliminate the root causes of these issues. To learn more, go to linkingefforts.com.
Everyone, I have good news.
Oh.
David Prowse. I remembered his name.
You remembered.
There it is.
I have bad news.
You got lost?
I didn't get lost. I made it to, is it Marilith? Kraken. I made it to Kraken just fine.
Did you forget the Rosetta Stone?
No, I got the Rosetta Stone. I forgot the Light Axe.
Oh. Yeah, that's not great.
So, we gonna do some backtracking. We're gonna do some backtracking, which is actually really scary, because this dungeon is kind of a maze in the best of times.
That dungeon's really confusing. And then, yeah, going backwards in dungeons is just always rough when you don't usually do it.
Okay, I'm pretty sure I know where I need to go at least. Oh, this is... Neither one of us putting our best work out there right now, huh?
No, not at all. I'm getting Ox Heal right now.
And then, hang on, wasn't it like a... I'm trying to remember. Wasn't it, like David Prowse wore the suit, and then somebody else was the face reveal, too?
I think that's right.
I made it back okay, so that's good.
Proud of you.
Thanks, fam.
I don't think I can run from this. I'm also not sure if this actually kills. I think the Ice Gigas survives that. Yeah.
Okay. So I finally did that menu that I was supposed to do about 5 minutes ago, and just skipped. It's the weirdest menu in the game. Because you equip the item that you want. It's the survival vest. We're replacing the thief armlet with the survival vest. You equip that on... What am I doing? On a couple of people, including your thief. But then once it's on the thief, you immediately take it back off. Because that's the only way that you're able to get it onto your warrior. And then once it's on the warrior, you put it back on the thief. So it's kind of counterintuitive, actually. But it ends up working out. I don't know who... I don't know who has done the bulk of, like, the routing for these games. I think... the current route that we use, we call it the Rat Jam route, was... Oh, goodness.
Asabe.
Thank you. I was gonna feel really bad if I couldn't remember. Yeah, it's a French runner named Asabe. I think he's French.
Yes.
But even then, the bulk of that route was based on the existing route, which I think was designed by Forsyth.
Forsyth and Double Drop, I think.
Oh, you know what I didn't do? While I was doing that menu, I didn't check to see what the... Whoops. I didn't check to see what my Black Mage has equipped in the weapon slot. I should do that. Anyway, so whoever comes up with what menus you do and where, there's some, like, real Goodwill Hunting genius level stuff going on.
Yeah, there's a... I haven't seen it in a long time. I wouldn't be able to find it without asking someone else. But there's a database somewhere with, like, what weapons and what armors are associated for the glitch, which is super helpful when trying to figure things out. But, yeah, there's been a lot of thinking done behind, okay, if we have to go out of our way to get this item, what does it get us from the glitch that's worth it? Or, like, in a little bit, Octini's on his way to, and I will go soon, we get a ribbon that we use the glitch to create the axe that the ribbon is associated with, and then we use that axe to create 3 more ribbons. We don't actually need the axe, but because we got 1 ribbon, we can turn it into 4.
Yep.
Which is fairly genius.
It's not even really
to
that
me.
we can turn the axe into 4 ribbons. Sorry, it's not that we can turn the ribbon into more ribbons. I mean, this is exactly what you just said, but it kind of bears repeating. We can turn the ribbon into an axe, and the axe can create more ribbons. Who came up with that? Like, it's so clever. I don't know. Even if you set the gigantic chart of what can turn what into what in front of me, I would never come up with the strategies that people have implemented. And it is pretty, I mean, to the best of my knowledge, it's very highly optimized. Like, I don't think anybody is saying, well, what if we did this menu? I don't think there's any real discussion about, is one menu better than another? Because
no, not really.
I think it's pretty universally understood that these are the best menus at the best times.
Yeah, there's an individual named Trenton who has a lot of Final Fantasy knowledge, and he kind of comes up with most of the solo character routes. He's really good at determining like kind of what's worth it and whatnot. But no, the run is super optimized. Even after Osabe came out with the new route, there were a lot of just minor changes made to it. I made one contribution that will be my only contribution ever to a speedrun route.
Yeah, you moved the...
Yeah, I moved where we buy high potions. Because there was a slightly more optimal spot to buy high potions. Okay, survival vest menu done. Which I am just guessing, because I feel like it's usually normal, that the stream audio is coming from Octini's run, since he's in the lead. I could be wrong. And he is doing the ribbon menu right now, I'm
just finished.
Assuming. Which, just fair warning to everyone, that menu sometimes breaks the music.
Yeah, it's weird. Sometimes the
why.
music will cut out at this point as I'm leaving this cave. It's really strange. Like the music on the overworld portion will just stop playing. Encounter music will keep playing. I don't know, it's weird. It didn't used to happen, and now it does, and I don't know what to make of it. But yeah, that happens sometimes.
Yeah, something about the way we changed the ribbon menu when we changed the route, for some reason, affects the music. I don't know.
For the record, I did accidentally put the Lust Dagger on the Black Mage.
Ah.
I must have put it on the Black Mage and the White Mage at the same time.
Yeah.
I fixed it, though.
Good job. Okay, so you're about a dungeon ahead of me. I'm fighting Kraken now. So I'm always curious.
Muscle memory. Muscle memory tried to run from like the one overworld encounter that's unrunnable.
Oh, yeah. So people in chat, there was, when I was a kid, a web comic that used the Final Fantasy 1
the
characters.
4-bit, or what was it called?
8-bit,
8-bit theater?
Yes, 8-bit theater. Does anyone remember that? I haven't actually found someone else other than me and Octini who knows what I'm talking about when I bring it up. I don't bring it up very often. But it was a webcomic. It got posted, I think, pretty much weekly. And surprisingly followed the plot of FF1 pretty well.
Did it really?
Yeah, I mean, with a lot of just extra stuff. But, yeah. I don't know if it still exists. I wonder if it does. I remember thinking it was hilarious. They would use, like building models from Age of Empires. Just instead of, anything Final Fantasy related. Like, you would just get a random town hall from Age of Empires is where the characters would be. But it used all 6 of the Final Fantasy characters. Its like main party was Warrior, Thief, Red Mage, and Black Mage. And then like the Monk and White Mage would show up every once in a while.
Okay, so I am in Mount Golg, which is a volcano, in case you couldn't tell from all the lava. And I don't know if y'all played this game when you were growing up, but one of my favorite games growing up was The Floor is Lava, where you're supposed to not step on the lava, right? Because it's lava. Well, we're playing The Floor is Lava in this game, but the objective is touch the lava as much as possible, which seems counterintuitive, but the rationale behind it is that if you are on the lava tiles, you cannot get an encounter. Now, it deals damage to your party every step, but you can't get an encounter. So it is possible, not common, but it is possible to go through the entirety of Mount Gold without getting a single encounter. And I just managed it with 1, so that's actually pretty good.
Nice.
Now, it can get a little bit hairy because before you get to the end, everybody's going to be at 1 HP. So if you get a random encounter that doesn't let you run very quickly, you might be in trouble. But that did not happen to me. Oh boy, okay. The end of this game really kind of sneaks up on you, because we're already sort of getting towards the late game. So have we talked about the Fiends? I don't think we've really talked about the Fiends.
No, I don't think so.
The bosses in this game, there are 4 Fiends, and I have now beaten 3 of them. 1 to go. And defeating the Fiends does something with crystals? Do you know what it does?
So the Warriors of Light all have crystals, which is what like deems they are the Warriors of Light, which could be familiar to you if you've played Final Fantasy XIV. Same premise. And every time we defeat a fiend, we light up one of the crystals.
It brings the color back to it.
Yes. Which is important to defeat the big bad.
So that's why we have to beat all of the Fiends before we can go fight the big bad, because we have to do the colors of the wind.
Yeah. It's basically our special rings to help us form Captain Planet, and we just have to charge them up.
There you go. Now what happens in a little while is we have to fight all 4 of them again. There's a rematch in the final dungeon. But again, we're really overpowered, so basically every single fiend fight is 1, maybe 2 turns long.
But again, the scary one is Lich.
Yes. Yeah, whoops, went the wrong way. The first of the 4 fiends is probably the most, not difficult, because it's not like it's hard, but the most treacherous. Hey, look at me, saving 10 seconds. Now I'm only 7 minutes and 15 seconds behind.
Your PB?
Yeah.
Man, I don't even want to look at my PB. I'm 10 minutes behind my latest run.
Which was 128, right?
Yeah. So apologies in advance for going over estimate.
Yeah. We'll see. You might claw it back.
Talk it up to marathon luck.
There you go.
Yeah.
Talbrik closes really strong. His old PB, well, I think you've PB'd a couple times since then, but I remember being especially impressed because he had, I don't know if everybody does this, but I usually break the run up into pre-lich and post-lich, which is not the halfway mark. It's actually probably 1/3 and 2/3. But I think of it as like you want about a 30-minute lich and a 60-minute, you know, I always call it the back half, but obviously that's more than half. Because 90 minutes is about your goal, right? Do you remember what it was? It was like a 32 or a 33-minute lich.
Yeah, something like that.
And then after that, played the second, again, I'm going to say half, of the game faster than anyone has ever played it before, ever. It was actually kind of impressive to watch. And then his current PB, all he really did was repeat that, but had a good lich time.
Yeah, so I was talking about the emergency exit things earlier. I'm terrible at slide puzzles. So, like, my PB does not have emergency exits. So, again, the run is uber accessible. Like, the third place run on the board does not have the magic item that you have to reset a million times.
The second place run doesn't either. Soma doesn't.
I thought Soma's had one.
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Does it not have any?
His old world record did not have one. When he had a 120. That didn't have
I think Soma's current run has one emergency exit.
Okay.
Forsyth's has 2, and then mine has none.
And I'm I think sixth or 7th place on the board, and I have never in my life even attempted an emergency exit. They scare me.
Okay, not a terrible Mount Dog.
I had a decent whatever you call the thing before the Flying Fortress. Mirage Tower. There we go. I knew it would come to me.
Whoops. Yeah, Mirage Tower and the Waterfall Dungeon where we got the ribbon have the highest encounter rates in the game. Which just makes them extremely frustrating.
Yeah, basically every screen in the game has a threat level 1 to 5. And there's 2 places in the game where the threat level is 5. The first one is the Waterfall Cavern, which is very, very long, and the other one is one of the floors of the Mirage Tower, which is not very long. If I could run from this encounter, that'd be great. Thank you. Now would be a really great time for a Warmac, I'm just saying.
Which I do just want to point out, because, again, we haven't talked about the plot very much, because it's bad. But, like we were saying earlier, this game is super high fantasy. Except for, like, Octini is currently in a sci-fi flying fortress with teleporter pads in it.
Yeah, as you do.
Yeah. With teleporter pads and, like, robot guardians. So
but I'm about
this
to
game
fight
is
a 6-headed dragon, so it's...
Yeah, Tiamat. So clearly this game is actually steampunk.
I can get behind that. I'm good with steampunk. Oh. I was wondering why I was suddenly, 10 minutes behind, and I realized I didn't split my last split.
That would do it.
Now I'm only 8 minutes behind.
Congrats.
Oh, goodness. But yeah, so I mentioned now would be a good time for a war mech. I didn't get a war mech. That's okay. I've only ever gotten one once, ever. And it happened...
In a marathon, though, right?
Yeah, it happened in a marathon. The screen that I'm on right now, I'm not going to be on for very much longer because I just beat the boss, but the final floor of the floating fortress, there are random encounters, just like there are on every screen. But there is a very small chance that one of those random encounters will be what's called a war mech. And you can run from the war mech just like you run from every other encounter. But some people, if they get a war mech encounter, will fight that war mech just for glory because it's so uncommon. It's also a really hard fight. There are strats for it. I don't know what they are.
It's basically a boss fight.
Yeah, it's basically a boss fight.
I got really unlucky in Lufinia and got blocked by NPCs.
Locked in?
Yeah, like bad. You should go back and watch it because you'll appreciate it.
I'm sorry. But yeah, the war mech is kind of like y'all remember in the so many pop culture references tonight. I'm sorry. Y'all remember in The Matrix where Cypher is talking to Neo and he's like, if you see an agent, you do what we do, you run. That's what you do with the war mech. If you see a war mech, you do what we do and you run. And yeah, I've only ever seen one, and it happened in a marathon as I was speaking about, hey, on this screen, sometimes people get war mechs, and I've never seen one, and it'd be really cool to see one. And no, like, the words were out of my mouth, and I got one, and it was the greatest moment of my life.
Meanwhile, I have who knows how many runs of this game, because I don't have my live split show me that number. And I have
probably
never seen a war mech. Again, for anyone who missed it or just wants to be reminded, the RNG in this game is absurd.
Oh, it's bonkers.
If you're familiar with like the Final Fantasy IX speed run, which is much longer,
about 9 hours.
The joke is that Final Fantasy I is the same amount of RNG in an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, average number of encounters for a Final Fantasy IX run over the course of 9 hours is 60. We get about 160 to 180 on average.
I've gotten a lot of ambushes tonight. I think I got a really poor luck stat. Because I've had very few preemptives and a lot of ambushes, which is really more important than just number of encounters, because ambushes take significantly longer.
Okay, so right now I'm playing a loot. The loot is going to get me... is this when I go back in time?
There?
Have I already gone back in time? Does anybody know? I don't know.
You've already gone back in time.
Okay, well, it opens up this pathway for me. I got the loot at the very beginning of the run. After we rescue the princess, there's a short little dialogue exchange, and before I left the room after the dialogue, I spoke to the Princess Sarah, and she gave me a loot. Now, in the PSP version of the game, I think I can run from you. Can I run from you? Is this a mistake? This is probably a mistake. Yeah. In the PSP version of the game, you cannot leave the room without the loot. If you get to the exit, Princess Sarah will call you back and give you the loot. In other versions of the game, you can leave. And people have gotten to the very end of the game and not had what they needed to get to the final boss. Which is a bummer. What I'm saying is the PSP version of the game is just better in every way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly, it's probably still my favorite. Even with the Pixel remasters out, PSP is probably still my favorite. Although, the Pixel remaster has... Don't do it. Ah, dang it. Screw it. I'm gonna kill him. Oh, I'm not gonna kill him. Will Fyra kill white dragons?
You want to use Firago once you're in.
Yeah, but I didn't have enough MP.
I doubt it.
Well, it did, so we're good.
Oh.
What was I saying? Oh, the Pixel Remaster has diagonal movement, which is better, and the soundtrack, and this is true of all 6 of the Pixel Remasters, the soundtrack slaps.
Yeah.
Like, the music is good for all of these games, even, like the original version, the music is composed well. But the remixes, or whatever you want to call it, the remastered music for all of the Pixel Remaster versions is really good.
Yeah, if you own Final Fantasy 1 Pixel Remaster and you haven't actually played it, you can access the soundtrack in the starting menu just to go listen to the Chaos music, because it's
so good.
Incredible. Final Fantasy 2 Pandemonium is also really good.
But I think I prefer the PSP version just for aesthetics, and I'm biased because the speedrun. Okay, we're fighting Lich. Hey, physical attack that did 1 damage. Thanks, Lich.
Alright, you're fighting Lich. I just killed Tiamat. I feel like this has happened once before and I still caught up, so...
Oh, yeah. We'll
see.
It is not over. I could very easily get lost. I have before. Lava worms. I might be able to run from lava worms, but I'm gonna kill them anyway. I can never remember. You can't run from purple worms. I know this because I always sing about them.
Yes.
I only got 1 white dragon, which was nice. So I was talking about something else when it happened, but there are white dragon encounters they're especially prevalent on one particular floor of this Chaos Shrine. And I only got 1 of them, so I was lucky. Sometimes you get way more than 1.
I just got a 1 out of 64
runnable.
encounter.
Say what?
I got a 1 out of 64 encounter.
Hey, nice.
I got a T-Rex.
I'm having really, really generous fiends. 2 for 2 with just physical attacks.
Nice.
What was I saying? I'm bad at trains of thought.
White dragons are...
Thank you.
Runnable.
Yes, technically runnable. But most people don't, because they're difficult to run from, and if you don't run from them successfully and you let them get attacks off, they are devastating. So I got 1 encounter, and I already had my Black Mage selected to use a fire-based attack. So I went with that, and it turned out fine. But
yeah. The bats that I just teleported away from,
great.
once you know the language Lufenian, which we kind of glossed over, but we picked up the Rosetta Stone earlier in the game and used it to learn Lufenian. Once you know Lufenian, you can talk to the bats, because they are actually... Oh, whoops. They are actually the previous Warriors of Light, because, spoiler alert, we're in a cycle. Which I think Strangers of Paradise covers,
yes,
pretty explicitly.
Here's a fun fact. I didn't know that. Today I learned you can talk to the bats.
Yeah, if you try to talk to them, we're in that dungeon at the very start of the game. If you try to talk to them, then you can't. But once you know Lufenian, you can talk to them and you get some lore. Like they explain to you that the airship you're flying around in is theirs, and they buried it in the desert. So that way, you know, the future Warriors of Light could get it. It's kind of a weird time.
Oh, I hasted the wrong person. That's okay.
Alright, Death Eye down, so I'm about to play the lute. Oh, you're gonna win.
You never know. Chaos could Chaos could wipe me 5 times in a row.
Yeah, Chaos is not as mean in this as he is in the Pixel Remaster. So, like, if anyone that is here watched the Final Fantasy relay, I haven't actually watched it yet. Oh, shoot. But I think Chaos was real mean to a couple runners. I should have used Ethers and I didn't. Fine.
Real quick, everyone, I just want to remind everyone that Antechamber, the any % bonus run, is still open. We've raised $5 so far towards our $50 goal, and we only have about 2.5 hours left. I know it seems like we have plenty of time, but these early morning runs go fast, so go ahead and get donating towards that.
Which Octini is going into the final boss. So
yep. I'm gonna save because I might die. Some of you may die. Shout out Shrek. And this there's a strategy for this fight. We basically go through a script that varies a little bit depending on, you know, how much health you have and how much damage Chaos attacks do and stuff like that. But basically we're gonna use the White Mage to heal everybody up just constantly. We're going to boost everybody's health, and we're gonna make everybody fast. And we're just gonna wail on Chaos.
yeah. And Chaos can do one of 3 things on his turn. He can use a spell, use a skill, or do a physical attack. We love it when Chaos does physical attacks. It is fastest and safest.
He opened with a physical attack for me, so that's good.
Nice. His spells and his skills go through a set order. So we really hope he doesn't just rush through his skills, because they hurt. Each skill does progressively more damage. And if he just rushes through them, you're probably in trouble.
I made a mistake. I tried to, dang it. Darn. Sorry. I tried to high potion my thief because he was a little bit low on health, but I mismenued to... Yeah, he's screwed. I mismenued to the Sage's Staff, which I was actually like, hey, maybe that'll work out, but it missed, so he didn't get healed, and then he died. And I kind of need him alive. Oh, nope. I kind of need him alive because he does the bulk of the damage in this fight. Ah. I'm struggling.
Wow, I should be able to run from this. That's dumb.
Cool, perfect. Alright, we might be back in the fight now. So that's good.
So I'll remind everyone, we've talked a lot about just how RNG heavy this run is. 2 days ago, I did a 128, and I'm currently on pace for a 140.
Uh-huh. And it's not like you're playing really badly or anything.
No, I don't think so. I got really unlucky with a stun lock. Which, I mean, to me is why races are fun. Like, Octini and I race a lot, and it goes back and forth a lot as far as who wins. And I legitimately never know when we start a race who's going to win. It doesn't matter how good our runs have been lately. Sometimes the game just decides that it's not your day.
This fight is going slowly enough that I bet I'm going to have to ether my White Mage.
Wow.
I think I've only attacked Chaos once, and I'm like 6 turns in.
how many spells has Chaos used?
Several.
So, like I said, Chaos has a set list for his spells and what order they'll go in. And if he gets through all of them, he uses Curaja, which resets the fight for him. So that's never fun if he rushes through his spells.
There we go. There's a physical attack. That at least gets me out of the woods health-wise. That's a problem. I've been having to use a lot of high potions.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now we're in a groove. That groove will be interrupted at some point because I'm going to have to ether my white mage, I think. I don't know.
And if
I've
you
lost,
do, just
I've lost
use
count.
Use your black mage for it if you do.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, hey, time. Cool.
Hey, GG.
I did not realize that was coming up. I know how many attacks it takes to kill Chaos, and usually I try and count, but I lost count really early there because that was a weird Chaos fight. Anyway, hey, I finished underestimate. That only took me 134 and change. Awesome. Thank you for the GGs, everyone. And you are Kraken, so you're making
Yeah,
I
I just beat Kraken.
Shrine.
I'm almost done. Okay. I've been told that I can hear a voice that none of you can hear. Which is kind of a creepy thing to hear at like 4 a.m. But
I have no idea what you're talking about, but okay.
Oh, whoops, I meant to haste. Oh well, that's okay. Yeah, so that's Tiamat. If I had done some haste, it would have been a little bit faster, but I mismenued and then decided to just hold X.
Nice. You know, this is like the 6th or 7th marathon that we've raced at. First time I've ever beaten you. And all it
took...
At a marathon, yeah. And all it took was you dying and losing 10 minutes.
Yeah. Not my most shining moment.
Alright, Talbrik is coming up on the last fight.
Great. Real quick, can I cut in with a donation?
Of course.
Absolutely.
Great. We have a $45 donation from Nightshade13. No comment, but it went towards that antechamber any % bonus run, which means we have met that incentive. We will get to see Osborne run any percent in antechamber after he completes the 100% run.
Awesome. That's exciting.
Yeah, thank you so much for that donation. I was going to say earlier when you brought up that we were raising money for LEAD. I'm a teacher. I teach grades 7 through 12. And I just think it's so awesome that we're supporting a charity that's really, frankly, addressing a problem that does exist.
Mm-hmm.
So thank y'all for making this charity the one that you guys are doing. It's something that I have seen in classrooms, and it kind of breaks my heart. So shout outs to LEAD.
And yeah, I am not a teacher, but I do work with kids. I've worked with kids actually for like more than half of my life. And yes, anytime there is any sort of event or cause going towards youth, I am 1000% on board.
Wow, all of my characters have really high health pools, actually.
Yeah, dang. It is not very often you see a black mage in the 500s.
After a Giant's Tonic. But
yes.
yeah.
So, all of your stats are random in this game. Everybody starts out with the same health, but then you get a random health increase anytime you level up. And the Black Mage tends to be the lowest on HP of your party. And it actually sometimes causes a little bit of a problem, particularly early on. When we do that level grind in the ice place, I want to call it the Ice Palace, but that's not what it's called. If the Black Mage isn't above like 80 health, then there's a very good chance that the enemy that you have to grind will wipe them out. So that's always kind of frustrating.
I'm playing this turn extra safe because he might Cyclone if he's rushing through his skills, which would be bad.
Wouldn't be ideal. I hadn't seen your character names yet. I just noticed them for the first time. First of all, how dare you? Second of all, accurate. I have no room to complain, actually, because my current PB, and probably what will be my PB for a while, my party name is Talbrik is the worst.
Which, if you go back and watch it, it's Riles is the worst, but that used to be my
old
name.
username.
Yeah. Okay, we're in a good cycle, so time's going to be coming up pretty soon.
I kind of feel bad that that's indelibly etched in time.
Whatever. You've done worse things to me in my life.
This is true. Yeah, you should be coming up soon.
Hey, sub 141 at least. 140.59. Nice. That's one of the worst runs I've had in a long time.
GG fans.
But that's Final Fantasy 1 PSP.
GG.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Mm-hmm. Not really. If, again, we said this earlier, if you have any interest whatsoever in learning a Final Fantasy speedrun, I do recommend this one. It is incredibly straightforward, really easy to learn. You can go in completely blind, honestly, and just follow the guide and probably finish the game in under 3 hours. Literally having never played it before. The guide is that good and the run is that straightforward. So, yeah. Check it out.
Yeah.
There's a good Discord for it. The community's really friendly.
Shout outs to the Final Fantasy community. The Final Fantasy 1 and 2 speedruns share a Discord, and everyone is super helpful. I've never felt like I asked a dumb question. People answer and are helpful in there. So if you're interested, definitely look in there. Shout outs to Octini. My brother really did get me into streaming and speedrunning, and it's been fun to do this with him. And also, because he's not going to talk about it, but he founded a community called Meteor Speedruns that is really focused on elevating the voices and streams of minority groups. So if that's something that interests you, look it up on Twitter. You can go to my Twitter or Octini's Twitter, and we retweet it a lot. And he's preparing a marathon sometime soon, so join that Discord. It's a good community.
Thank you.
But
we have an event coming up in December, and you can find the Meteor community on Twitter and Twitch, both at just Meteor Speedruns. Meteor, like the thing that killed the dinosaurs, not like having a greater content of meat.
Yeah, but it's a cool place, cool people, and Octini has done good things with that.
Thank you.
So,
and thank
Real
you,
quick, just to cut in,
SS4C for
sorry.
having us. This was great.
I am a part of that Discord. I love that Discord so much. It's great. So you really should join. I'm so sorry to cut you off. Go ahead, Octini.
No, that was all. I was saying thanks for having us. Ness, the founder of SS4C, is a friend of mine. Ness is really great people, and I was really happy to be able to participate in this.
All right. Thank you both
Yeah, it was
so
a
much
blast.
for the amazing runs. We learned so much about the Final Fantasy lore, about chaos, about chaos again. So much.
Good old Jack Garland.